Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Career Success Strategies for Liberal Arts and Humanities majors. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're very excited to be able to share some insight and some guidance during these uncertain times. And first of all, I want to make sure that everyone's doing well, and I want to thank everybody for being present today. So we're going to go ahead and start by introducing ourselves. So first, I'm going to go ahead and, sorry? Yep. First, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Douglas Neese. I'm the Assistant Director of Campus Outreach at the Topple Career Center, and I'm joined here by my colleague, Sasha Espinola.
Hi, everybody. I currently serve as the Assistant Director for Career Events.
And we also have a couple of guest speakers with us.
So I'm Hugh Thomas. As you can see here, I'm the director for the Center for the Humanities. I've been a professor of medieval history here at UM for 32 years now.
And also?
Hi, I'm Joel Nichols. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies for the English Department, and I've been teaching at UM for 12 years.
Thank you. So first, we're going to go into just the main idea behind these presentations, which is staying motivated. Just keep in mind that we're all in this together. This is a situation that everyone is going through currently. While the job market has shifted and certain opportunities have definitely changed or gone viral, you need to keep in mind not to give up when faced with setbacks and with challenges. Keep in mind that what we are experiencing is temporary. And that you should definitely use this as an opportunity to slow down and reflect on your future path, but also on opportunities and skills that you developed up until this point. But it's also a great time as well to take advantage and just research future careers and endeavors that you would like to go into. So first of all, for today's topics, first we're going to go into what it takes to have a very versatile resume and going into resume interview tips as well. We're going to give a broad overview of our online tools, including Cane to Cane, Handshake, and LinkedIn, as well as other resources that are tailored to your specific needs. And then we'll finally end it off with a question and answer segment with Dr. Thomas and Dr. Nichols. So first of all, to talk about your resume content. So first of all, you want to make sure that your resume is as impactful as it may be. You want it also to be very physically appealing in terms of, you need to ask yourself, is your font consistent? Is the design easy to read? Does your resume include important keywords that line up with the position description that you currently are applying for? And also, are your bulleted statements impactful and include what you've done, the skills you used, and any results achieved? Also, make sure to do a clear check to see if your internships and part-time jobs are also featured in the experience section. So next, we're going to go on to what you can continue to do during these times where you might be at home a little bit more, or where you can access digital resources much more conveniently. So first, you want to see what is available in terms of remote jobs. This can be done through visiting Handshake, through visiting LinkedIn, through going through websites like Indeed. And if you specifically want to see what jobs have moved to a virtual platform, you can visit all those jobs at flexjobs.com. After that, another option is also what we consider micro internships. These micro internships are a great opportunity to really be able to hone in your skills and develop your skills while also achieving a number of different abilities online. And this one, we've actually partnered up with a company called Parker Dewey that filters and funnels all these micro internships for you to be able to easily access them. There's freelancing as well that you can find online, as well as virtual volunteering, which can be done through the Butler Career Center, the Butler Center for Service and Leadership, as well as developing online skill development through ULearn and LinkedIn Learning. So these, as you can see, are some of our virtual networks right here, and it will help you increase your virtual network as well. So we have Cane to Cane, which is a platform that we recently created that allows alumni and community stakeholders to engage with current students on the platform. We also highly recommend using and establishing a profile through LinkedIn, as we see as this is one of the most popular professional digital networks available today. And last but not least, we highly recommend that you also explore Handshake. So each student has automatically access to their own Handshake account through a single sign-on. And once you sign on to Handshake, we highly recommend that you make a very robust profile and view a lot of the internship and career opportunities there, as they are catered directly to students. So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage right now and show you all where exactly you can view all of these resources. So as you can see on my screen here, I'm currently at the HireACane. Oh, is the screen visible by any chance? Yeah, okay. As you can see right now, I'm at the HireACane website. So all you would have to do is put hireacane.miami.edu in your URL address, and you'll be taken to this website. Once here, you can go ahead and go into guides and handouts. So if you're concerned about your resume or want to strengthen your resume or cover letter, this is a great way in order to go step by step to make sure you have all those aspects that will make you competitive in a recruiter's eyes. So as you go down, you can see you can easily access the resume and cover letter guide right here. And you can use a number of our examples that we have already to guide your resume in order to be adaptable and appropriate, for your specific career. And then once you've developed a very strong resume, you can go ahead and also view our cover letter samples right here that will guide you. And if you're interested also in viewing where you can find all these resources, you can go to career resources, online resources, and you can find all the resources that we've mentioned here: Handshake, Parker Dewey, LinkedIn, and a number of other resources as well. So we highly recommend that you go to our website and you can visit all these resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. So I'm going to go into how to make your Handshake profile stand out. And a little later after this, we'll go into a completed Handshake profile so you can see what it looks like. So first of all, you have to make sure that your work experience is filled out. So whether it's a summer job, a high school job, or a job that you currently hold, fill it out with your job title, your employer, the time period, and the location. If you're involved in different organizations or extracurriculars on campus and hold a leadership position, which is even better, you can go ahead and include that as well. You can include multiple skills, courses that are relevant to your career interests, any projects, and a professional headshot picture. Once this all blows over, Topo does have the opportunity for you to schedule a professional headshot. We'll take it for you and send it to your way. Something else that we also recommend is the privacy settings. We'll go into it a little bit later. Handshake has thousands of opportunities available for jobs and for internships. You can filter them when you're searching by location or industry as well. If you're looking to apply to any of these, you can save them as your favorite and return to them later. And Handshake will always remind you to go ahead and complete your application or to even follow up with an employer after you've already submitted it. So these were the privacy settings that I was talking about earlier. We recommend that you leave your profile fully visible where an employer can see your full name, your photo, your school, your expected graduation date, as well as your major. There's also the semi-anonymous portion for it, where your full name and your photo would be hidden, and unpublished, you would not be on the employer's radar. Handshake also has a question and answer feature. So this feature is available to all the schools on the network of Handshake. So you can go ahead and ask a question and it'll be blasted out across the board. There's also targeted emails that Handshake will send you, but it won't flood your inbox. It'll send you at most 6 emails over 4 months. It'll remind you of when there's career fairs happening on campus, if there's employers looking at your profile, as well as any events or happenings regarding your industry and your major. There's also the peer messaging feature. If you're interested in a specific organization, where you can go ahead and contact a peer who's also been involved in it as well. You can ask them for any recommendations that they may have on your resume or any interview advice tips, and you can expand your professional network that way as well. And there's a reviews feature, which is a little like Glassdoor, but as interns or previous students that have been employed or have done an internship with this company can review the company, and you can connect with them as well and gain any insight into company culture, mentorship, which is sometimes a little difficult just based off of their website.
So thank you, Sasha. So I'm going to go ahead and really quickly just show everybody how a profile looks like when it is ideally finished, right? So here we have the profile of Alicia Rodriguez on Handshake. As you can see, it's beautifully filled out in terms of it has the explanation of her journey, her education, her volunteer experience, and the more robust your profile, the higher chances that recruiters and employers will reach out to you and engage with you in terms of internships or career options. As you can see down, it's very versatile in the sense that you can even put your courses or projects that you have within your coursework. And for the number of other aspects that Sasha was mentioning, you can also view jobs here, events. Here's where you can ask a question to the Handshake universe. You can reach out to other students, and you can gain access to the resources we were discussing about earlier through Career Center and the Resources tab. So make sure to visit this digital platform, and you'll be able to see a number of different options and opportunities for your career. So now returning to the PowerPoint. So now we're going to go a little bit into the discussion about interview preparation and additional resources for you as UM students. Just so you know, that while there are a number of industries that have had a hiring freeze or have basically stopped hiring, there are a number of organizations that are still hiring and are actively recruiting candidates online. So it's important that once you do apply, that you also prepare for the interview stage of your application. So make sure to prepare for phone interviews and video interviews, but we have a number of resources that address that particular concern. So we have, as you can see here by these pictures, a resource called Vault, which not only is an opportunity for you to search positions, but also has a journaling aspect to it where it describes the day-to-day process of each position that you're looking to get into, allowing you to adopt the vocabulary and how to explain your skill set in order to perfectly fit within that position. We also have Big Interview. And Big Interview is a platform that has over 80 videos and educational videos that allow you to master the interview process itself. So we highly recommend that all students take advantage of both these resources. But we also have here at the very end JobScan, which is an artificial intelligence program that uses keywords in your resume to compare with job descriptions and to see what's a similarity and also how you can improve it word by word in order for your resume to be a perfect fit for that position. So do we have any questions on resources so far? No? All right, so we can move on. So now we're going to go specifically into humanities majors. So the great thing about the humanities majors is that it's very versatile in the sense that you can go in a number of different directions, and it really these majors really hone in your ability to reason effectively, form coherent arguments, write persuasively, and improves your logical and critical thinking. Therefore, it creates an excellent skill base for a number of different careers. As you can see here, we have written down a few of them, which are. You can go into education, any level of education, historians, you can become in the clergy, you can go into writing, information and research, marriage and family therapists, social and human services assistant, civil service, communications, law, politics, and public relations. While these are some of the most popular careers to go into, keep in mind that this is just a short list, and there's an extensive amount of careers that you can really go into with your majors. So where do humanities students go? As we can see from a self-reported student graduation survey that is issued every year, that we've seen that humanities students have secured positions post-graduation at 82.22%. And out of these 82.22%, they've gone on 50%, a little bit more than 50% have gone on to a full-time employment, 5% into part-time employment, and 3.5% into continuing education, while we have 8% in other plans. So we see that students continue on to do great things afterwards. And if we want to break down those statistics a little bit more, we can see here what they've gone into doing, and also the median salary and average salary that these students have reported once they have graduated.
So during this moment in time that we're going through, there are a variety of things that you could be working on, specifically not really for liberal arts and humanities students, but across the board, just gain more skills that can increase your marketability. So become proficient in desktop publishing, photo editing software. You can download Duolingo or listen to podcasts and acquire some sort of background in a foreign language. As well as learning different computer programs. If you're interested in teaching, learning about the certification process. And if you're interested in grad school, you can start becoming familiar with the specific entrance exams for grad school or professional school like med school, like law school as well. You can join a service organization. Now, during these times, that's something that is going to hit big, being focused on community service work. You can get incorporated with that, or you can write for community newspapers or campus newspapers or websites. If you have a portfolio, update it not only physically but digitally as well, and develop skills in business management, computers, marketing, and other related areas that will increase your marketability, like I mentioned before. A really cool opportunity that was posted through the Butler Center for Leadership and Service was being a digital volunteer with the Smithsonian. You can help transcribe historical documents, collection records, and help facilitate the research on important pieces of history. We have the link at the end of the presentation that you can write down or refer to their newsletters as well.
So the Professional Development Academy, we'd also like to let students know about this resource that we offer at the Topple Career Center. So we're currently recruiting for students for the for next semester, and for the fall 2020 semester. And the Professional Development Academy really helps students develop their soft skills and their abilities to communicate within a professional setting, but also be able to express their ideas and seek to influence their workplaces as well. Just to let everybody know that you can access this through this website that you see on the page, and also that the deadline has been extended to May 8th. So feel free to join this program through our website. We also wanted to share some resources with the A.S.P.I.R.E program as well. So the A.S.P.I.R.E program for arts and sciences is basically has the mission to enhance, promote, and facilitate internships throughout the College of Arts and Sciences. Their services consist of internship search guidance, resume critiques, networking tips, and an explanation on how to earn internship credit as well. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about A.S.P.I.R.E and joining their program, you can go to their website at aspire.as.miami.edu to find out a little bit more about how to earn credit for your internships in the college, and to view the database of organizations within the industry sector. They are also hosting office hours office hours via Zoom on Tuesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. And here you can find the recurring meeting ID, as well as Thursday from 12 to 2. Also feel free to follow them on Instagram at UMiamiAspire, or write them at aspire@miami.edu. So as we were mentioning before, there are a number of different resources that you can use, both through the Topical Career Center, but also through a number of our different partners on campus. So please feel free to use any of these. Take a screenshot or perhaps just ask us to send you the presentation, and that way you can access any one of these resources as well. All right, so thank you very much. So now we're gonna transition into the question and answer segment with Dr. Thomas and Dr. Nichols. The first question that we have lined up for you in order to share some insight with students is, what are the top skills that you have seen in students develop in your respective fields that have allowed them to excel in their careers?
I'll go ahead and start, and even though I'm from the history department rather than the English department, I'll say writing. You know, writing writing well is one of those skills that matters in a lot of careers, that the humanities really focuses on. More generally, and some of these are not unique to the humanities. Some of these are skills you can pick up in lots of different areas, but again, we focus on them. Spoken communication and discussion, answering questions. Critical thinking tends to kind of get buried for students when they're writing papers. They just think of it as a task, but we try to design it, or when we're doing any kind of assignment, we're trying to build up those kinds of critical thinking skills. Dr. Nichols, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking about one of the main professors that English majors tend to go on to, which is a lot of them tend to be lawyers. And in the last couple of years, we've had students go to Harvard Law, UVA Law, University of Chicago Law. One student got a scholarship to Emory Law. And so I'm thinking about, you know, being a lawyer, you need to persuade people of things a lot. You need to come up with innovative ways to persuade people of things. So that means you have to have rhetorical skills. And there's a lot of creative thinking that goes into being a lawyer. And there's a lot of writing that goes into being a lawyer. Some lawyers just spend most of their time writing. And so those are all skills that we emphasize in the English classroom. I mean, English is not a multiple choice kind of major. And being a lawyer is not a multiple choice kind of job. You really have to find creative solutions to problems, and that emphasis on outside the box kind of thinking is something English majors are known for, and that they're rewarded for in the classroom.
Thank you very much for sharing that insight. So we have another question as well. So in your perception or in your experience, what sets students who major in humanities apart from other students?
I can start with that one here, if you don't mind.
Please.
One of the other main things that students do once they graduate with an English major is they go to med school. We have a lot of English majors go to med school. Whoa, something happened in my Zoom. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we have students in the last couple of years get into NYU med school, University of Miami's own med school. What we hear from admissions offices from med schools is they love English majors because it's a standout major. There are a lot of bio and chem majors who go on to med school. That's kind of expected. But when admissions departments see, you know, an English major, they know a few things about that student. They know that that student has the ability to write clearly, to express themselves clearly, and that they have people skills. They have soft skills. You know, they have the ability to collaborate with others. These are all things that medical professionals need in their careers. They need to listen to patients, understand what's going on in real time with them, and communicate clearly with them. Medical researchers need to do a lot of writing. That's one thing that, you know, doctors are notoriously challenged when it comes to. And so seeing someone who has fulfilled all the requirements for pre-med at UM and also is an English major is a real standout on a student's application. So, you know, our advisors all throughout the university emphasize that a humanities major like English is a really good double major for people intending to go to medical school.
If I could build on that a little bit, recently in the center I'm directing has been cooperating with people from the medical school because they're thinking of, or they are planning to revamp their medical school curriculum to include more humanities. And so what Joel is saying, what Dr. Nichols is saying about English is true of some of the other majors as well, although perhaps English has the particular advantage of the emphasis on writing, although of course that's in all the humanities. But I think one of the things that Douglas mentioned is at the beginning is the flexibility. And there are people from the humanities in all kinds of fields. And in some cases, double majors. It's in some fields like architecture, there's so many requirements, it's hard, but nonetheless, in the business field, in all kinds of fields, there's all kinds of majors. Some of you walking through campus around registration time, back when you could walk around campus, may have seen the history department signs talking about different people who are history majors. And English could do this, philosophy could do this. There are a lot of humanities majors in the business world in all kinds of high-powered jobs.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Of course.
Thank you. I know I'm not officially on the panel expert here today, but I'm Meg Homer. I am with the Center for Humanities as well. I'm the assistant director there, but I thought I might chime in just because I've sat on admissions committees to medical school, and I want to build a little bit on what Professor Nichols said. And to be clear, I am in no way saying that you should pick up a humanities major or minor because it's your ticket to med school, but I will say it makes students stand out, absolutely. I think every time we had a student come through applying that had a humanities minor or double major, certainly it kind of set them apart a little bit. But more importantly, in my experience, it makes them better physicians. Those who have taken the time to explore the humanities and picked up humanistic study in some intentional way, and that can be a variety of ways to do that. But by and large, after talking with the physicians that sit on these admissions committees, they recognize that these students are going to be better prepared for medical school on average, and they're going to make better physicians because they have those skills that enable them to communicate, to build empathy, to think ethically, and really critically. They're better problem solvers by and large. And it's not just the English majors. What's interesting, Dr. Thomas, is, I think I had shared with you the most recent data from MCAS said that history majors outperformed biology majors on the MCAT, which was, an interesting little tidbit. So it certainly does a lot in terms of preparing students for medical school and graduate school in general, I think, certainly law school as well. But like I said, I think it makes them, if you're a humanist, it just really informs what you're going to be doing in any kind of helping profession, including medicine. Forgive me for chiming in, but I thought I'd...
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I'll jump in again. Of course, some of you who are going to be watching this may not be medical, pre-med, but a lot of things that apply to medical school, all sorts of other situations. Again, it's that versatility, the skills in dealing with humans as well as communication, but the empathy, those kinds of things can be very important in lots of different fields.
Okay. Thank you for sharing all that. So our next question is, we've also noticed that students, humanities students, tend to thrive in managerial positions as well. So the question is, why is it that humanities students tend to thrive in managerial positions?
If I could start on this one, partly because a month ago, when this is all starting, I was up at a National Humanities Alliance conference in Washington, and there was some data from a major survey that's being done. The findings aren't going to come out till the fall, but we got some preliminary data. One of the interesting things they found is that they set out a series of skills that are associated with the humanities, or tasks or things like that that are associated with humanities, not necessarily uniquely with the humanities, but are common humanities. And they asked people from all kinds of different fields if they used those. And it tended to be people in higher paying positions that used those, whether or not they were humanities majors. They may have picked up on some of this by taking courses in the humanities or whatever. And as I say, some of these skills overlap with other disciplines or other areas. But it is, it's the people who are in managerial positions who might need to write clearly, who might need to communicate clearly, who need the critical thinking. Out there on an assembly line, these skills are not so important. But in high-level positions, you really need a kind of toolkit. And while some of the pre-professional majors prepare people admirably for specific jobs, like accounting and that sort of thing, even accountants should probably get a range of courses to get a range of skills if they go into a managerial position. So I think just the versatility and the range of skills that humanities majors can get are pretty crucial there.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a recent graduate who's now managing partner of the e-commerce division at Omega Accelerator. We have a recent graduate who's the lead associate of one of the marketing departments at AXA, which is a multinational insurance firm. If you can kind of step into that world that they're in now, managers need to be part of teams, really, but they also need to show a lot of independent initiative. And I think in our classrooms, it's those two skills kind of harmonizing with each other that students really learn. I mean, in an English classroom, we're constantly encouraging students to verbalize their arguments in real time in the classroom and bounce ideas off of other students. In most of our classrooms, the process of interpreting literature or interpreting cultural phenomena is a collaborative process. It's the kind of thing where the classroom works together. And I know that in developing my own administrative style, as a university administrator, it's really important to get your tone exactly right when you're encouraging people to do things, encouraging people to want to do things. And those kinds of interpersonal skills are honed in an English classroom. It's not the kind of classroom where people are fighting with one another for dominance. It's the kind of classroom where students are venturing a guess, and another student is maybe confirming part of that interpretation, adding their own material, constantly refining and focusing the kind of the class effort. And I mean, those attributes, I think, are the attributes that make a good manager, not just proclaiming your own opinion, but working in an empathetic way and in a collaborative way with other people.
And if I could extend that to other disciplines, you think of philosophers who are consistently challenging their students to think in new ways, to think things through logically, if you think about modern languages, there's going to be some of the same things as in the English classroom, also obviously foreign languages, which themselves are very useful in an increasingly globalized world. Something like art history, where you're having a lot of these skills being developed, but also looking at more at a creative side, which is also important in many businesses. So there's different ways, but overlapping ways in which different humanities majors can prepare you. Another advantage is that humanities classes tend to be small. And some of these big science classes, you're in the back taking notes. In humanities classes, you tend to be interacting with the professors, with the students, and that builds up skills that disciplines with very large classes may not be able to do so well.
Thank you so much for that incredible insight. So we're going to move on to the next question, which is, where would you guide a student that is interested in participating in research?
Meg.
I know. Yeah, I know Meghan can speak.
My assistant director. One of the things we've been trying to emphasize in the Center for Humanities, try to increase is undergraduate research, and Dr. Homer has spent a lot of time interacting with students. One of the events, unfortunately, we had to cancel was about humanities research. I'll back up and say that students tend not to think of the humanities in terms of research. They think of it in terms of labs. But when you're writing a history paper, when you're writing an English paper, you're doing history research and English research on a kind of micro level. You're doing at an undergraduate level what we do in a more complex and experienced and sophisticated way. So there's actually a lot of research going on in any upper level humanities class, but we are trying to emphasize humanities research experiences. I think here might be a place to put in a plug for that Smithsonian project that was mentioned earlier. You're sitting around a house, especially when classes end, you can actually be out there helping the historical project by transcribing documents. It's something on your resume. There's also something that should be interesting to do if you get some interesting documents. So there's lots of opportunities, even though it's less formalized in the science where you just sign up for a lab or whatever.
Yes, last summer we had a student receive the Beyond the Book Fellowship. And so I just want to plug that. It provides summer funding for travel and expenses. This particular student traveled to Ireland, and she stayed in Ireland for a good part of the summer, attending the theater and researching how Irish theaters were working with the plays of female playwrights. And so she received several $1,000s to get to Ireland and stay there on the Beyond the Book Fellowship. Students can also be student researchers. And again, this is something that is done a lot in the sciences, but it's offered through the Office of Undergraduate Research. And all you need is a faculty mentor to take you on. And so I have availed myself of this opportunity with 2 different students in 2 different semesters. The students can get course credit for being a student researcher. I just set a research plan for them in conversation with them, and they helped me with the research project that I was working on, which mainly involved reading lots and lots of novels and writing summaries of them so I could know which would work well with the research project I was dealing with that semester. So that's a great thing for students to do, and it's fairly easy. It's fairly easy to do. So those are two great opportunities that I've had personal experience with.
And maybe let me turn it over to Dr. Homer, since she's been doing a lot. If she would, you've heard about a couple of the programs, but there might be others.
Sure. And forgive me, I didn't prepare anything formally, but first and foremost, I want students to know if they don't know how to get started, they are welcome to contact me, and I'm happy to sit down and kind of chat about the different resources available. Certainly the Office of Undergraduate Research is available to every student on campus, not just the STEM students, because I know we tend to think of research just as a society as test tubes and lab coats. But the folks there are wonderful. And if you approach them, they are happy to help you identify what your options are. And there is a database that basically says, okay, Joel Nichols in English, he's open to this, or they've got a list of faculty members who are available to entertain a conversation about research assistant type positions. It's not comprehensive because it's hard to keep track of what everybody at the university is doing. And I know that there are several students who have just developed relationships with faculty members, and it's about networking in a lot of ways. And reaching out to a faculty member and saying, do you know of any research opportunities available? I had one student last year who did that very thing in classics and had a wonderful relationship and built rapport with the professor. and said, hey, is there anything I can assist you with? And she wound up doing a great project on sea monsters, that particular faculty member was working on. And there's also great funding opportunities. I'm so glad Dr. Nichols mentioned Beyond the Book, because I feel like few students know about this opportunity where you can actually submit a project idea and get funding. Whether that's, that might be to travel, it might be to purchase resources or materials that you need for a project. There's such a misunderstanding, I think, about what research is, that it really is just about contributing something new to the field. And that could be a performance piece. It could be a piece of art, literature. There are so many different definitions and forms that research takes. And so there are a lot of great resources available to help students. Kreloff, the scholarship, Kreloff Scholarship is also something I think students don't necessarily know is out there. If you submit your, let's say you've got a thesis and you get accepted to a conference, Kreloff is there to support travel to that conference. We've had numerous humanities students awarded the Kreloff Scholarship and able to travel and use those funds to travel and present their research and network with other scholars in their field. So there are some really wonderful opportunities out there. It's just a matter of taking advantage of them, identifying them and taking advantage. And certainly if any students out there need help getting started, yeah, I'm happy to assist. So I'll be happy to share my contact information with the TOPL folks if that's the best way to do so.
Thank you very much. So we have one quick question left, our last one. So this question is, as we've seen a rise in remote careers and internships, at least for the near future, what advantages do humanities majors have in this arena?
Mm-hmm.
I might say again, writing. It's just even with emails, which just seems so routine, being concise and clear is pretty important. And with remote stuff, there's going to be more written communication, but also there's going to be meetings like this on Zoom, where the spoken word is also important.
Yeah, I would also just add the ability to conduct research and innovate independently. I mean, especially when you're working remotely, you don't want to have to go back and forth seeking direction many, many times. In a remote environment, an employer is going to want to know that their employee can understand a task and then find a solution to it using outside the box thinking, without having to constantly check in and seek for more direction. One of the strengths in terms of hiring that our students have is they often end up in the public sector, and this is another sector that where people are working remotely right now. One of our students actually worked in City Hall as the policy director for Commissioner Ken Russell. Another one helped direct a mayoral campaign. Another one ended up getting a job at the FBI. Another one worked as a strategic planner for the city of Miami. So you can imagine all of these different kinds of employers want employees who can synthesize a perspective, when they're given data, and articulate a position on it clearly, and to do independent work. If you're doing policy, you want to make sure you have an employee who can articulate clearly and succinctly what your position is in writing, and maybe even over a Zoom meeting. You have a limited amount of time usually to articulate a policy position very clearly and succinctly. That's what English majors are trained in every single semester in our classrooms.
Thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of our presentation today. So I wanted to go ahead and thank our guest speakers first and foremost, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Nichols, and Dr. Homer. Thank you very much for jumping on the Zoom with us to help out humanities students. And as always, we want to let all the students know that they can reach out to us at the TOPL Career Center or any of our guest speakers in order to help them in their career development in the future. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Pleasure. All right. Thank you.